Hello and welcome back. We did a little bit of a vote to see which country we would be playing, and we chose Sokoto, or that's what you guys voted for. And before we do that, we're on patch 1.2.2, and now it seems that directly controlled investment pool has problems, so we're going to switch back to autonomous investment pool, and then we're going to go sandbox, and we're going to go Sokoto. Now, Sokoto is a very interesting country. At the start, it is in Africa, and in particular, there's two really unique features. One is you're isolationist, which means you can trade with absolutely nobody, and so you have to be self-sufficient at the start. And two, the second thing is that you start with the most backward techs of any country I have played as. You start with almost no techs, which is actually really painful. You don't realize how much you wish you had a bunch of these techs until you don't have them anymore. And so, as far as tech goes, we will be starting off going steelworking. The reason for this is the sawmills PM allows you to switch off of being privately owned, it allows you to switch off of merchant guilds and onto privately owned for the logging camps, which we're going to be building a lot of. And the wrought iron tools allows you to do the same for the tooling workshops. Why is this important? Because when you switch off of merchant guilds, you switch from being shopkeeper owned, which is primarily petite bourgeoisie, to being privately owned, which we don't have any, so we can't really show what interest groups they are, but the interest groups will be primarily industrialists and intelligentsia, and this is what we want. And so we have to try and get as much of our economy towards that as possible, and so the easiest way for us to do that is to be focusing on steelworking at the start. After this, we will be going into academia, I think. There's really so many, things that are important that you just, wish you had. We also wish we had centralization, and, urban planning is also really strong. But we will just start off with these two. As far as what we are building in the queue goes, we are going to put down one construction center in the capital, and then we need wood and fabric in order to make construction cheapest on the base PM, and so we will build a couple logging camps, and then we're going to build another construction center, and then another couple logging camps. And this is kind of what we will do mostly for the start, or we'll build one more logging camp, and then we're going to build a tooling workshop in here, so that we can hopefully by then turn on the sawmills. And so this way we will have a bunch of new logging camps that are owned by the industrialists. Towards that end, let's take a quick look at our politics. Let's take a look at our laws. As far as the laws goes, we actually have the worst laws possible, with the exception of rights of assembly, which I guess it would be a little worse if it was censorship. But other than this, we have the worst laws possible. We have all the most repressive laws on everything. We don't have any institutions, really. We have slavery at the start. And so we're going to be trying to empower the industrialists and the intelligentsia to get out from under this, because they will allow us to swap to a bunch of better ones. And then we still have a ton of authority. One nice thing about having all these repressive laws and being isolationist, you get a ton of authority. We're going to tax literally everything that is a sin tax or a luxury good, and so we're just going to tax everything that's not the basics for people, because we do not want to tax our really poor pops more. And then that's it. And we still have more available, so we could, if we wanted to, also tax the meat. Meat is a higher rung product. And we might tax meat later, I don't know. Normally you kind of want to float authority sometimes in order to pass laws faster, but we actually can't really pass any good laws at the start. We don't have the tech for it. I guess we can go for abolishing serfdom. Why can we go for abolishing serfdom right now? Oh, because we have an abolitionist Sunni lemma? That is interesting. So I suppose you can re-roll and try and get an abolitionist. Normally it's just the rural folk, intelligentsia, and trade unions who kind of oppose this, and so it's hard to get serfdom abolished just right out the gate, but we're going to start it right. We're going to try it right out of the gate because we happen to get an abolitionist. So this is something perhaps you can re-roll for. The big one for us to get rid of, though, is going to be isolationism. Once we get rid of isolationism, well, there's two ways to get rid of isolationism, really. The first is you could declare a war that Great Britain could join in on, and then Great Britain will probably ask for open market, which will switch you to free trade. The problem with this is if you get swapped to free trade, you can't use corn laws. Now, corn laws, you need to prioritize grain export in order to be able to do it, and if you are on free trade, you won't be able to go in here and click prioritized export. What the corn laws will allow you to do is they will give you a landowner who is a market liberal as his ideology instead of, let's say, a traditionalist. And what this will do is it'll allow you to switch from traditionalism to laissez-faire interventionism, and it'll also allow you to switch your trade policy. It'll also let you come off of serfdom. So maybe if we get off of serfdom or something, we want to switch off traditionalism, we want to maybe get our market opened by Great Britain, but I don't think so. And so we're going to try and do this right now because we happen to get the lucky roll with the abolitionist Sunni lemma. But I expect that there's a good chance that this doesn't go through because we have someone in government opposing it. Let's take these bad boys out. So this will make it easier because the landowners oppose this law change, and if they're out of government, it's less likely that they manage to stop it. Okay. So, as far as expenses go at the very start of the game, we've put in all of our taxes. We don't need this much military, or even remotely close, and what we want to do is we want to delete a bunch of the military that's not in the capital, and so we will delete down until we have only 30 battalions. This is more than enough to conquer all the area we want to conquer. We are not going to be moving towards the coast in terms of our strategy. The reason why is if we attack one of the coastal states, then Great Britain can join against us. If we just expand in here for now, Great Britain cannot join against us. They cannot enforce open market, which is generally speaking what they demand, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we're going to go a slightly different path this time. And so this is the setup that is kind of useful. Also, if we provoke a rebellion, we have 20 battalions in the capital and only 10 elsewhere, and so we will easily be able to put down the rebellion with this setup. I believe we moved the capital. If we didn't, we're going to do it now, and we're going to talk about it. We're moving the capital to here. The reason being is this has the most arable land potential, and so it can support the most migration possible. And so we want to build tall-ish here. We're going to put down a couple decrees in the capital, not too many. Oop. We're going to encourage manufacturing. I know there's no manufacturing there, but eventually there will be, and encourage social mobility, and that's all of our authorities spent. We have a couple things in the queue. We have a couple researches in the queue, and so we can get started and get off on our way. We're going to go speed 4, probably up to speed 5, but we do want to manage the construction a little bit carefully, and then we're going to start our first war as well. We're going to make this guy our vassal. And it's a little bit, we're doing this vassal and then annex because it's easier on the infamy, but you can probably just annex. Overall, we just want to, constantly be at war, and so we're going to do it this way because this allows us to do more wars. All right, if the Sunni lemma is in here, we definitely do not. Yeah, so we cannot afford having this guy die, so we're going to stop it. Unfortunately, it makes him less popular, though. And we're also going to ask for war reps in the event that they just want to back down. Actually, we're just going to make these primary. So we should have an easy time figuring out this war. Now, we're also going to eventually need government administrations. We're going to put them in the capital because we're going to have a lot of people here. And let's take a look at the queue. Now we are on, I think I mentioned this at the start, we are on, so far in 1.2. Whatever, the construction queue has been extremely buggy. I have been noticing on 1.2.2 that it seems to be buggy when you are not using the automated construction. That's why we're using it now, because it will put automated things in, but you won't get the investment pool transfer, which is pretty uncomfortable. And so this is kind of how we're going to be doing things. We want to try and specialize some of the arable stuff, and we're going to try and encourage the specialization with the way that we play as far as the automated queue goes. So what I mean is, for arable land, we would prefer that this place that has 100 arable land only build 2 different types of resources, and they build them up at least to 51, so you have the max throughput bonus from economies of scale on each of those, instead of building like level 20 on everything, which would be not as ideal. And so we want to find a place to make the cotton, because we're going to need cotton fabric to make our stuff cheaper. So we're going to put a couple cotton plantations in here, with the hopes that we can get it to see. It's going to just build random stuff here and there, and is building tobacco here in Nigeria, as far as the automated construction pool. 2 arms. Which, of course, will slow us down a little bit. We're actually going to put this logging camp up here, or this construction center. We're just going to do one of these. But so, for example, we could specialize in 2 things here because we could get 2 things up to 51. We could maybe do tobacco and livestock, or tobacco and grain, or whatever. I think in the capital we want to do millet. The reason why is millet will generally long-term be less profitable, and the capital gets like a 50% juice on political power. And so what this will mean is the landowner building inside the capital in the long term will be less. There will be less landowners, but we don't want to do it right now because we will be getting a lot of clout to the landowners, whom we need to take clout away from in order to try and pass a whole bunch of the laws we want. And so the name of the game is going to be disempowering the landowners over an extended period of time, and this is going to be a little bit difficult. We're going to go up on speed because I think we can handle the queue speed. We get super, super lucky here. We abolished serfdom in the first go, and so now we can switch off of a bunch of not so good things. Like, for example, we could switch off of land-based taxation, but these guys will be really mad at us. These guys being the landowners, and so we have to figure out a way to maybe try and make them happy. We could do religious schools, which isn't terrible. Getting rid of slavery, of course, will piss off people. We would want to swap onto any of these. Mercantilism being the easiest, but we need to get the Industrialists powerful first, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. But that is the one we want to swap off of the most. It looks like we maybe need to have 2 generals to manage this. We want to not recruit a landowner in particular, and we kind of don't want to recruit a Sunni ulema, and the guys don't matter too much at the start here because our army is way stronger. So we will add another construction center to the front of the queue because we are starting to stockpile gold, which is not ideal. Now, as far as laws go, I think we're just chilling for now. We might want to reform and just put in the more legitimate looking government. Alright, we vassalize, we get war reps. Perfect. So now we're just going to continue our way all the way through with all the stuff that is landlocked, because as long as we're doing landlocked stuff, we cannot get, Great Britain cannot join against us. And we will add war reps. And we will just mobilize just the 20 stack. Demograms should help us out a little bit. And we will also go into improving relations. We probably want to improve relations with Great Britain and let's say Egypt as well. And just constantly be improving relations with them. We do take a relation hit every time we declare war that starts something. They are protective, so it's unlikely that they start a war against us, but I've noticed as soon as we get access to the ocean, they usually switch off of this, and then they want to split open our market. And so this is kind of something we'd prefer they didn't do. So yeah, because we are trying to do it in such a way that we get to switch off of traditionalism as fast as possible. This is more important to us than switching off of isolationism. You can switch off of isolationism very, very quickly if you get them, Great Britain, to enforce an open market against you. I guess we could go religious schools for now, and we'd kind of rather have the institution. It's a little bit close. I do think we want the education, though. Well, actually, we don't mind just not spreading stuff and overflowing on our academia. See, because the way it works is the amount of innovation you can get is capped by your literacy. And you just get a base amount per tick or whatever. And if you hit the cap, then it just overflows to your natural spread. We can natural spread for quite a long time, so it's really not tremendously important that we get on the schools. Although it will be important for, what's it called? We will probably have qualification problems. Let's make sure to make this primary goal, and we'll just continue through. Making some wacky tobacco. I think we're going to set the logging camps in here to auto-expand, and in here to auto-expand, and then maybe in here we are going to instead prioritize the cotton plantations and set these to auto-expand. because we want this area to specialize in cotton, and it would be better if they just build up here and, you know, maximize economies of scale. The AI seems a little bit better at managing economies of scale in 1.2.2 than it did in 1.2.1, which is quite nice. We're going to enforce on these guys pretty quickly, then we'll be into Wadai, and then Darfur, and then it'll kind of just be chill mode until we... And let's see, war reps as well, we'll make it primary. We'll mobilize this guy, put him on the front, and then forget about it. Forget about it. And we're still making quite a bit of money, so we do want to build even more construction. So let's put it into the queue. Let's actually just go up to 5 construction centers. Pretty sure we can support this. We are... The other stuff that we're building in addition to construction centers is just stuff to try and make the construction cheaper. We don't have too much... We can afford the government expense is the thing. We're really not... we're currently stockpiling gold, and we would rather not be, but it is what it is. Who wants to get rid of slavery? And how upset are the landowners with us right now? They're neutral, so we could... Getting rid of slavery will really upset them, though. Religious schools would not. What we do really want is to get off of state religion, but this is difficult, especially because they're a traditionalist. Maybe we just go schools. This will make the ulema harder to deal with later. But it improves education access. No, I don't want to do it. I want to get either private or public as our schools. Let's go into this guy, and we will... Because kneecapping the ulema is important. Now, why can't we declare an... we need to declare an interest. We'll declare an interest here in the Nile, so we can go after Darfur. Make him a vassal, and we will ask for war reps. Auto construction queue is building some tea in Houseland, which is, we would rather they specialize, but they're not gonna, the AI is not gonna trend towards that really as much. We would much rather they build coffee here as well. So we're gonna add, I guess we have a lot of pops here in Houseland. Unfortunate. And now we're building tea. If this is in Houseland, I'm going to tear my hair out. Okay. So North Cameroon, where we want to build cotton plantations, or focus on them. And we're going to get an easy push off here as well. I think we're going to start putting more construction centers down, but just not in the capital. Again, we want to not be stockpiling gold, and this will drive up the price. When you are an isolationist, in particular, looking at the price of the goods in your market becomes a lot more important, because you want to have certain things be cheap. Like, we want to get wood really cheap, and we get wrought iron tools and steel mills, which is perfect, because we will use that to help push stuff. By help push stuff, I mean... We want to be able to swap... We want to be able to swap these over to sawmills, which will give us more wood and take more tools. And we finish our first, tooling workshop. So now we can swap them onto sawmills. So we'll just take a look here at what this does. Is it'll swap everything to sawmills, which will give us more wood, cost some tools. And very importantly, it swaps this to privately owned, which will be owned by capitalists. Currently, it populates more quickly than normal, but these will generally tend to be very industrialist and intelligentsia heavy, which is exactly what we want. And we have these on auto expand. I think we have all of them on auto expand. Maybe not all of them. And now we're losing money at a decent clip, but as we make more wood, this will get cheaper and cheaper. And so we will come in here and we will add more wood to the queue. And we're spreading it out because we have no migration allowed, so we do have to worry about the amount of pops we have available in all these places. And so in theory, we should focus most in East Houseland, but this is where we're building tooling workshops and where we're trying to build tall. So we're going to build industry in East Houseland and try and build resources in the other 3 areas, generally speaking. After we build a lot of these, I think we're going to want a couple iron mines. That way we can switch on to using wrought iron tools, which will switch us from being merchant guilds to privately owned. We'll actually put something like this. Perfect. It's like a little sandwich. And so now we're still making money, but we are making not so much. We are, by the way, unrecognized and rather small, so we really don't want to run a deficit because interest is very expensive for us. And we just also want to keep an eye on this because we want to annex them as quickly as possible. We have to wait until, let's just take a look, when the truce is up in 41. So we're just chilling until then. We don't want to go into the coast because we don't want to get our market split open prematurely. We want to stay on isolationism for the time being because the most important thing is getting rid of the economic system that's bad, and I do believe it's a little bit faster this way. Now, we could swap to trying to ban slavery. It's going to radicalize the landowners. Don't think that's worth it. Well, we could provoke a revolution, actually. I don't hate this. Let's do it. You, of course, are really pissed, so you'll leave the government. I said you'll leave the government, so we don't have to kick you out. And this revolution will almost certainly pop, but we have a majority. Well, let's just double check that it doesn't include... Yeah, it's just here, and the majority of the military is not there, although they do have 10 barracks, and so this will be good for us. We'll just do that one. This is gonna pop. We're gonna lose this general. He wasn't very good anyway. This is fine. And then it will be easier for us to get rid of slavery and these sorts of things. You know, generally I don't like sparking revolutions, but this one seems fine. Where it's upon us. Why haven't you split? Is it bugged? Okay. We also have all these subjects to help us out, so it's doubly easy. Looks like we have extra authority. We're gonna tax T's, I suppose. Because we don't have too many laws to pass anyways, so floating a bunch of extra to make it so the laws are better doesn't make too much sense. We should put down this rebellion really quickly. That will kneecap the landowners, depending on who gets all the power. We get slavery banned, another rather lucky tick. Still, well, I guess we could go for appointed bureaucrats. Do we have a movement for that? We do have a movement for that, so let's do it. The landowners are pissed already, so they're going to be really pissed no matter what. So we'll try and get appointed bureaucrats while we can. Appointing bureaucrats will probably hurt us in the short term in terms of the bureaucracy consideration, but the long term it'll be good. And we fully occupy. Very, very quickly. So we're almost certainly going to enforce. We have to swap back the PMs once we do. Alright, let's swap back the PMs. Because I believe they will have gone off of sawmills, and we want them on sawmills. And now, the armed forces are powerful in Lemma and Intelligentsia. It looks like the game has gotten a little bit better at splitting the clout between a bunch of groups when this happens. So now we can try and pass stuff with the Intelligentsia, maybe. The problem is our leader isn't. This is a Sunni Lemma. But let's just take a look at, maybe we can get off of autocracy. We could, I want to try and get oligarchy is the thing. We could try and go landed voting into oligarchy. We could try and get rid of state religion, but I don't think we can make a legitimate thing like this until we get rid of, we can't take, until we get rid of autocracy or monarchy, we will not be able to really form a government with the Intelligentsia in it, because we have a Sunni Lemma leader, which I don't think it's always a Sunni Lemma, so maybe you want to reroll until you don't have one of these guys. But for now, we should be able to get off of hereditary, or we should maybe be able to get off of hereditary bureaucrats, which will be nice. I don't think we can put the Intelligentsia in. What else can we do after? I guess after this, we'll try and take a look at how we can reform the government in order to pass what we want. But this is good. And we did finish an iron place. And so we will switch to wrought iron tools, which of course switches it to privately owned, which is capitalist. So it's a big circle where we're using the tools to chop the wood, to make the tools, to get the iron, to make the better tools. And so this circle of production, where most of it right now, not all of it, is on privately owned. These are still on merchant guilds, and they will until we get atmospheric engine, which is quite a ways away. We're not spreading centralization, which is quite nice, because we can switch to road maintenance in the capital if we want, which we probably will do, considering we have the extra authority anyways. Why are you having an input shortage? This should be able to ramp up to 20. I guess it's just taking us time ramping up. Okay, fair enough. We will put this on auto-expand. And we are in 41, so can we annex you yet? Not yet. Soon. When is our truce over exactly? September. Okay, it's going to be a little ways. So we'll up the speed just a little bit and try and keep an eye on the construction queue. Now, see, this is what I don't understand. Why does it put Millet Farm in the queue for me? This is the bug I was thinking of when, well, first of all, the personally controlled queue just doesn't seem to work. Alright, we will let these guys fight. Let's see if we can put down a couple construction centers. We'll put down one in the capital and one in Nigeria where we are building the iron, because we're probably going to be using a lot more of that. Labor is really cheap, and so we will look to not go to iron frame buildings that quickly. I think we could take the bureaucracy hit. Yeah. We have no institutions, so this is fine. Our market is getting quite large, but we will be annexing all these guys pretty quickly here. I suppose the order in which you declare war is not tremendously important, but us getting more iron mines would have been nice. I'm not sure if there's anyone else who gets iron. So this is going to be something that gates us, which is a reason to not swap onto iron frame buildings as quickly as possible, because that's going to eat a ton of iron. We will need to eventually get opened up, or open up our markets, but for now, we're doing this. And, kind of waiting for the Industrialists to finally have enough of a come up to really get involved. They are the ones we need to really start attacking this in particular, unless we get a movement for it. But you notice people are pretty okay with protectionism, so as soon as the Industrialists are not marginalized, we should be in good shape, which is why we're building the logging camps plus the tooling workshops. You know, the things that we can make sure are, how should I say, owned by the right people. This is employing some more, so this should get more profitable. Why don't we swap up to increase demand for tools on all these things? Let's do that. Also create more demand for tools. I think that's the only places we can do, though. Because we want this to be as profitable as possible. We have it on auto expand, so it should expand pretty frequently. And we're going to want to build tall. Importantly, as it gets bigger and bigger, we get a larger and larger bonus from throughput bonus from economies of scale. So we want to build it tall specifically here. And we get unis, which is quite nice, because we are going to build a few. We have like a decent amount of money, but we have really bad tech. And so this is why going unis early seems like a good look. I think we will mainly go for industrializing tech, specifically focus on stuff that's not spreading to us. So we're going to go prospecting, and we're just going to try and get to atmospheric engine, mechanical tools, and railways from here. Alright, so I think we have enough stuff auto-expanding that we don't have to keep too close an eye on what's going on. We'll just add one of these to the queue, and then The wood is auto-expanding. Add a couple of these. Now these do help empower the landowners, but this isn't the biggest deal. We are coming up on the date. Alright, with 20 enactment chance, we can kneecap the landowners or we can empower it. I think I want to go for empowering the Intelligentsia here. We don't have a ton of laws we can pass through because we don't have a lot of the text for a lot of these laws. And a big part of being able to pass stuff through, the Industrialists are powerful enough. So we're going to reform the government as soon as we finish this law pass and do something more like this. And try and get off of isolationism. We're probably going to try and go protectionism here. Just the easiest, most comfortable one to pass. And then we can go grain laws and then get free trade. Or we can go corn laws, rather. So we're going to keep doing this. Would not mind actually floating some excess bureaucracy here now. And we are now running a large deficit. This is fine. But we cannot expand construction anymore here, I think. This will be a little bit volatile. Now, it's very, very important, though, to not run... we're running a deficit. It's important that we do not have any credit. We have to stay on reserves and not go into credit because our interest rates are booty as an unrecognized country. They might even have a negative modifier for isolationism. This would not surprise me. No, it doesn't, but, yeah, the minus tech spread also hurts with that. Really not ideal. So, I think as we start to come up a little bit, we will want a uni. We'll build actually just one right now, just to get it down. I think we can try and... If we get it to, yeah, establish a university, let's see. We don't want to miss out on this event, but we don't want to, like, fire it up right now. We unlock filing cabinets, which is nice, and road maintenance. So we're going to put on road maintenance in the capital, which will increase our building speed there. That's the main reason to do it, but it also increases the infrastructure, which is also going to be important because we are going to be late to the party as far as railroads go. So we're probably going to need the infrastructure eventually. Don't need it now, though. And I'm building these cotton plantations now so that the auto queue is a little bit more restrained in trying to build both cotton plantations and livestock ranches anywhere but here. I would really like this to build high for a larger economies of scale throughput bonus. So that's kind of the idea. To try and encourage it to go more steel oriented. I think we will need to put in some kind of manufacturing here. That is maybe not clothes. I'm not sure. Clothes are making decent money right now. But missed the thing. We're just gonna annex these boyos. We will probably integrate them. Now you can play some games with like integrating versus not integrating, but I think we'll just integrate. We'll probably delete the barracks that they have here. Or at least most of them. Maybe we don't want to delete all of them. If we look at strategic regions, it's all the Niger region, so it won't be like awkward from the perspective of them being in the wrong strategic region, but we also just don't need this much military to just annex these guys. And so we'd rather spend money on construction than military for the most part. We in fact could delete these two in Hausland. Actually, why don't we delete some of them? And then when this guy gets conquered, we'll delete another some of them, because we really don't need this amount of troops. We'll mobilize this guy and put him on the front over here. And we are getting close to break even. We do want to kind of decrease our money a little bit before we do that, though, because we don't want to be... Lemma are nice and happy. We don't want to be stockpiling gold at any point, because you hemorrhage value when you stockpile gold. Probably up the speed a little bit here. Just got to make sure we keep an eye on the construction queue. Maybe want to create more demand for wood than just the construction. And I think the paper mills might be a good way to do it, because we can now swap on the filing cabinets. We get appointed bureaucrats, which is big nice. So now we can think about going institutions, because we can kind of afford them. But we wanted to take a larger look. We would love to get off of state religion, but only the Intelligentsia will support it, and we can't get the Intelligentsia in government. We probably just want to do this. And I don't think there's going to be a more legitimate way of putting the industrialists in government, so we're just going to go for this, and we are going to try and get off of... I guess we can't go off of isolationism. We do not have... What is the... We need international trade. Okay, fair enough. Well, getting off of traditionalism would be great, so let's just try and go interventionalism here. And we should be annexing these guys, and we are now making money, which is not exactly where we want to be. And you need paper. Whoops. So it's really good that we're adding the paper now. Which will also create more demand for wood. It's trying to make a lot of money, so I'm gonna put in some more construction centers. So we don't really want to be making money like that. When we annex Damagram, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to delete some of these barracks. We're going to delete down to 5. We also want to make sure that if we have a revolution, we are much stronger in the capital. So we're going to annex these guys next. And then we are going to add a couple jobs here. We're going to add the coal mine, I think. Gonna need it eventually, and we can turn some stuff on with the coal mines. We'll just build a level 1 and put it on auto expand. We are losing money, which is nice. Maybe not nice to be losing that much, but that's fine. Of course, running a paper shortage here, but we're taking care of that. Question is how do we make this more profitable? A little bit hard right now. We're going to switch everything to butchering tools. That will help. We're going to swap all of these to sawmills as well. So that will really spike up the demand for tools. It'll be very profitable. We'll put another one in the queue. And we have this nice little 8% on interventionalism. Be very nice if we can get that through, because the most important thing is getting off of traditionalism. Did that increase or decrease? It increased. Perfect. And again, we are not expanding this way because we don't want Great Britain to split us open at this point, although if we get interventionalism, we don't care anymore. And we'll probably just be a little bit careful and look to save and stuff when we do it, but we will... We'll annex these boyos too now. And let's take a look what you got going on. We will smack the button. And we will look to delete some of these in Bornu, some of these barracks. Actually just going to delete all of them and then add a few more logging camps here. Put them on auto expand. We don't need that much military, and there's a decent chance we have another revolution. We kind of want to have a lot more guys in the capital than we do elsewhere. Trying to get rid of traditionalism because it sucks. Again, once we get off of this, we could probably go in more onto these guys. Maybe we could just annex Dahomey here. We have a decent Considering looks like we're getting interventionalism anyways, we're gonna take a save and we're gonna go for Dahomey. Because the biggest thing is getting off of traditionalism. If Great Britain forces us to go free trade now, not too big a deal. And so we will just conquer Dahomey, which will incur us more infamy, but it will give us immediate sea access, which will be nice. Now let's try and make sure we're always improving relations with the UK. From this point on, we'll improve with them. They don't have an interest in the region that we have, so we'll just keep on keeping on. I guess we'll mobilize this guy as well. Caliph intervenes. His will be done. So, starting to get a lot closer to interventionalism. Again, don't mind floating this authority. We're taxing almost every luxury good anyways at this point. Could maybe decrease taxes. Would we hit a new legitimacy tier? No, we would not. We would need to decrease taxes quite a bit. We'll just stay on the medium ones. It's not, we are having a high standard of living is actually not particularly useful because we can't pull anyone into our market. So we'll actually do this. And we will expand construction everywhere. Except they have bad infrastructure, so let's not expand here. And let's actually delete that. Singleton Barracks. We are going to be rushing now towards... Looks like I made a bit of a mistake. It's not too big a mistake, but we will be going towards railways now. I don't know how long we've been on the not researching anything train, but it's not the one we want to be on. But it's also not the biggest deal as well. Trying to play a little bit quick here, so might have gotten a little bit careless. Looks like we're gonna rev maybe. But the reason why it's not too big a deal is because when you are not spending research, it just gets floated over into natural spread, and so we're not spreading a bunch of techs we want anyways. I guess we don't really want the military techs at this point, so the fact that we are not spreading into mil techs was kind of annoying, but we enforce, we conquer Dahomey, and now, if we annex Wadai, Great Britain can stick their finger in our pie, but if they do, they'll almost certainly be asking for us to open our market, which we don't care too much about having to do. And we'll be able to enforce on Wadai and then do this. We will reset construction. Wadai is damaging relations. Now we do want to make sure we... See, now we have a revolution brewing. Oh, and it's just this state. If it was all the states where we have units, we would... We're starting to get a little bit close to them having more units not in the capital than in the capital, which is a threshold we want to be careful of. But for now, we're okay. Get a little return state action up here. Please enact interventionalism. We want it. We want it. But yeah, it's important for us to rush railroads at this point, which is what we're doing. We're going distillation first, because lathe is not spreading, and then, although we could go lathe first and then distillation will not spread, let's actually do that. And we're researching all the tier 1 techs first, that way we don't suffer the malice for the tier 2 techs. But lathe is a bit more important for us to get. Do we have infrastructure here? We have a little bit. We're going to build, I think, furniture manufacturer here, which will be nice. We have a few more years for establish a university. We just got to get these up to tier 5, I believe, and we get interventionalism. Hiya. Which, very importantly, does allow more investment pool to transfer and to occur. So, and now we're floating negative bureaucracy because traditionalism helps in that front, and so we can swap this on to filing cabinets, and we can put this on auto expand because this paper should get pretty expensive here. And we could go oligarchy here. I kind of like going oligarchy. The landowners are already super pissed. This will allow us to, you know, shuffle around things quite nicely. And nobody opposes it except the landowners. The landowners, again, already pissed. Not a big deal. If they rev, we should be able to put it down. Might want to be a little bit careful, I guess, about annexing more guys. Because right now, our vassals will help us with a revolution. And if we annex them, then we will own the territory. And if that territory goes into the rev, this will be bad for us. Currently, it's just this state revving, which just has 5 barracks, so we should be fine into this. But we just have to be a little bit careful. Dahomey. I guess we could have looked between Oyo and Benin. If any of these have, yeah, so Benin probably would have been a little bit better for us to take in order to gain coast access because they have the iron. And we would like the iron. And we have to be a little bit careful when declaring war on Benin. We'll probably go for vassalizing Benin after we take Darfur here. But there's a decent chance the UK joins against us, and maybe we can enforce on Benin before, but probably not. And UK will just want to make us to open our market, most likely, as their thing. I wonder if you can do parliamentary oligarchy. Just sounds weird. I guess it's kind of the US. Truth hurts. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in our economy right now. So currently, we don't have, a lot of these are merchant guilds, which are going to be owned by the shopkeepers, which is not what we want. The tooling workshops are not. Once we get lathes, we can actually swap over a whole bunch to being privately owned instead, namely in the furniture manufacturers and the textile mills, so this will be nice. We enforce on wood dye. Don't think we have sweeteners yet. We will get sweeteners soon. And so now let's annex these guys. You have to be a little bit careful. Darfur is damaging relations. Yeah, I know, bud. And we will reset the PMs as well. Okay, we don't need to. So getting all these to being privately owned is going to be huge because this will make the industrialists really strong, and then we can just kneecap and eliminate the landowners kind of once and for all, and we don't have to deal with this like revving potential, which we're currently having to deal with. I think that for the most part, as we get more money, we will want to add unis so we can proc this event. I think we need a level 5 university. Or just has to be level 2. That's not too bad. We actually will be doing that shortly. And we're building the furniture manufactory because we're researching lathes right now, so we will be able to swap that over. I don't know if we'll do, I think lathes, yeah, lathes just requires tools. This requires that we swap over some to hardwood, which I guess we will want to do, so we'll have to swap over 1 or 2 places to hardwood. Probably just here, keep it nice and vertically integrated, I guess. Which, of course, is irrelevant, but, yeah, more than happy to make concessions to them. These guys, the Forever Rev. Eventually it might pop, but hopefully we can keep them down. We could actually even suppress them right now, because they're out of the government. I don't hate that, so we could get rid of a couple consumption taxes. And instead suppress the landowners. Alright. We, of course, will need to put this in to make our coal thing finally employ, because we did have that going. These guys aren't making too much. The iron is expensive. Love to see it auto-building logging camps. But now the coal mine should be employing, now that we have swapped some of our urban centers over. Why don't we swap all the urban centers over to... I know why, because it's too much. We'll swap another one over to gas streetlights. And then this will fully employ, hopefully. And then we can swap more over to gas streetlights. We'll just have it on auto expand. That'll be fine. Revolution is gaining some juice. Hopefully we can get onto oligarchy before... Well, actually, we don't really care if the rev happens because we should be able to put it down, but the problem is if we become unacceptable, that's a problem. Currently, we have a ton of rural stuff, so we are trending towards having a really strong landowner group. So this might break us in this front. We'll see. Maybe we'll just get a super lucky tick again. We'll come over here and we will switch to lathes. Yay. Now, I believe we need dyes. So let's find a place that... Well, let's build dyes maybe where we have the most labor available. East Houseland, except there. So in Houseland... Oh, we already have one in Dahomey and one in Wood Dye, though. So let's build a little bit more in Dahomey. And then we are going to swap over these. So you notice right now, merchant guilds owned, shopkeepers. We swap over, now they become privately owned capitalists, and these will be primarily industrialists and intelligentsia. And so this is the name of the game. We're going lathes on all of these for the exact same reasons. Paper mills will need the sulfite pumping or whatever it is, which I think we get with mechanical tools. Yep, we got to research mechanical tools, which we are on the way to be doing anyways. We're pushing into Darfur pretty comfortably here. Let's take a look at our infamy. So we should, after we finish Darfur, we should be able to just vassalize Benin. Now, we just have to keep an eye on Great Britain, and see, now they're cautious. So Great Britain is extremely likely to join against us, which is not what we want. Normally they don't formulate this attitude until after you gain coastal access, at which point they decide that, hey, you know what? I think we should split his market open. So, this is a reason to kind of want to get off of this. But if we don't really mind if they enforce free trade on us now that we have interventionalism. And so we'll probably save and then look to maybe go after Benin. Don't really want to pay war reps to Benin though, but this might be unavoidable. We are not, we of course have like no PMs used on any of our guys in terms of military, nor do we want to at this point. Once the rev goes away, we'll probably delete some of the military as well. Yeah, these boyos are all real mad. We could actually start integrating some of these guys too. Let's do it. So that they pay taxes. We'll need a couple more of these, so we'll need another one of these as well. Now, why... We'll put the university up there. Looks like we got quite a lot of stuff to queue right now. And we are losing money. I think we can increase the taxes. We already did a little bit, but we can increase them more. We will swap over PMs. Not sure how these ones are swapped. Oh, they have different urban center PMs. Yeah, that's fine. Now, why are you accumulating so much? Can't you spend on something? I guess we're kind of just sitting pretty. I do want to vassalize Benin here. Very confident that the UK, or Dominion Benin, but I'm very confident the UK joins against us here. So I think we'll actually just call it an episode. This episode, we expanded Sokoto a whole bunch, and we got off of, very importantly, we got off of traditionalism. We're kind of doing the, we got off of traditionalism into interventionalism. Let's take a pause while we talk about this. And so this is pretty good. We haven't gotten off of isolationism yet, but it's not as critical as getting off of traditionalism. We had a revolution. We, passed a whole bunch of laws. We're trying to get off of autocracy right now. This way we can kind of have a little bit more flexibility with getting these guys out of the government, which will allow us to put the Intelligentsia in government, because these guys basically just block the Intelligentsia, and so this transition is going to be quite helpful. We're not very legitimate right now, but it's mainly just trying to squeeze through laws and reform our economy has kind of been the name of this episode, using primarily the tools, lumber, and iron circle, as well as circles with construction. So this is what we'll be doing in the future. Next episode, I think we're going to declare for Benin and see how things go. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one.